what I'm going to do with you guys is what we'll do is first we'll just talk about your opening presentation, because again, this would be the opportunity for you to ask the people you're talking to if you have any questions. So before we get started, why don't we open it up? Any general comments? And again, we're being constructive and helpful. You guys did a great job. Let's start there. Yes. Articulate, energetic, etc., etc. So we'll get into more of that. But what did you all think?
I thought it was really great how Shayna and Emily looked really interested while other people were talking, which I think is really important, not to zone out or become really nervous and be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say next? But to smile and look at the corporations, and I noticed Shayna like nodding along and really thinking about what the fellow team member was saying. So
I am so glad you brought that up, because that's something that somebody told me a while ago, and I told it to everybody, is that when somebody's talking in a presentation, it is so important that you look at them when they're talking, because if they're saying something important and you want us to feel like it's important, then you have to make sure it's important, and you want to give that person your undivided attention, because everything they're saying is just so important. You can't lock your eyes off of them. And nodding and those positive affirmations, it's a very, very sophisticated thing to do, and you guys were doing it naturally. Great. Remember that, because it really does make a difference.
How do you propose, like, myself in the location that I am? How would I look at Nick without being like too casual, or like, you know, putting my hand on the table or something like that?
You could do, you know, something like this. You can do something like this. You know, you don't have to be, you can just be gesturing that way, but you know, that's fine. But nodding, smiling, reacting is really, really good, because then what happens is you engage the other people. So,
and you don't have to be locked in and not like a tractor beam on whoever's talking. You can be reading. You need to be doing two things. You need to be reading the people you're with and you're meeting with, and showing interest and engagement with your colleagues.
Yeah.
So it's a back and forth, and it should just be a natural thing. You'll know when you're locked in too long, when it's good to kind of take a survey, look around, and then refocus. But you should always kind of be gearing back towards the speaker.
It's such a respectful thing to do, and I noticed you did that so well too. I wrote down the transitions from person to person was just flawless.
Oh,
I mean,
so good.
The way that you all respected each other in this was really great. So that's good. What else do you all have? Yes?
I thought it was really professional, but at the same time it sounded conversational.
Yes, good. And actually I was going to comment on that, because you really want to make sure it's not a script. Okay? I'm sure you have all seen the little kids selling gift wrapping paper or popcorn, and they come and they've got the little script that they're reading, like, please buy my popcorn and all this stuff. You don't want to go there. You really want to have a conversation. It's okay to stop and take some pauses and slow it down a little bit, take a breath. That's all very good. You just want to make sure no scripts at all. Instead, take what you're saying and make it a really natural conversation. I think you all did that very, very well. You did it great because you used what I assume is some of your natural language, you know? And I forget what you said, but something about we really want to, when you're talking about your financial goal or something, Go big. Yeah, go big.
Yeah.
That's great. You guys are high school seniors. You don't have to try to sound like you're, Harvard MBA students. That's fine. Be yourselves. That's really compelling, and that's part of that genuine thing. Be yourselves. You're asking for something important because you care about it, and you all do care about it. And you, Nick? Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. So natural in the way you talked. It was just great. No script. I mean, it was just like we were having a conversation with you. It was really, really good. So, good point. Yeah?
Can I say one thing on Nick's? I loved it, but I'd like to see your hands, maybe. Because then after a while, you're sort of like going like this, and I was like, where is his hands? So maybe just bring out your hands a little bit and talk. Because you're naturally, you can talk like naturally and flow, but you just got to move your hands.
That's true.
To make
That's
it
great
more
feedback.
Like,
And just like you're doing now, I do that all the time too, and that just makes people comfortable. You know, it's good.
Yeah, because after a while, it's sort of uncomfortable.
And Nick, you broke eye contact a few times. When you were kind of focusing in where you wanted to go in, I saw your head drop a couple times as you were kind of finding where you wanted to be in your conversation. So just kind of keeping focused, keeping locked in on the people you're meeting with. And I think the engagement with the hands is a great suggestion, because that's part of that too, kind of just being there in the moment.
Any other overall comments? Yeah.
Nobody actually suggested how much to give.
There was no
No
ask.
Yeah.
There was no ask.
You said the title song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was no ask. That's the thing
Money.
is when I noticed when you stop, is that it? Yeah, you gotta ask for money, right?
For my wallet, that's
That's
it away.
Yeah, you gotta ask. You gotta ask, and you gotta ask with pride, and that's when you ask, and then you just stop and you let them respond to you. Okay.
So maybe
So-
stop and we wait for an answer.
Absolutely. So what I would have done there, because you just prepped it so beautifully, is just say, you know, I've shared with you why this is so important, to us, the many people that we have the privilege of helping through Kids Helping Kids, and we're just so appreciative of the fact that you allowed us to come in here and talk to you, and so we do want to talk to you about a sponsorship. We would like for you to consider our lead sponsorship. It's the most important sponsorship we have, and so we want you to consider making a $25,000 investment in what we're trying to accomplish.
And you would have that be the last thing?
Yep.
Okay.
And so when I just said we'll make a $25,000 investment in what we're trying to accomplish,
That's it. Nobody talks.
nobody
You
talks.
wait until they say something back.
That's right.
Very, very important.
And then that's when you start your Q&A. Let them respond to you. Yes.
Do you think it's redundant if each of us say like, thank you so much for letting us be here today? Because I know it's right, but do you find that would be redundant for each of us to
It
say?
would
You
be
bring-
scripty.
You bring a good point up, and no, you don't need to all say that. You can say it in different ways though. You can say thank you. For one thing that I put in here is what you want to do is you want to presumptuously reaffirm why you're here. So one thing that I would do for you as the CEO opening is saying, we're so delighted you invited us in, or we're so delighted that you accepted our invitation to come in to hear about Kids Helping Kids and what we're trying to accomplish. Thank you. Because then all of a sudden you said, we're here because you've allowed us to be here. That's important. And then for you to say, you know, wow, I'm really delighted to be here too. Your Deckers or whatever your corporation is such an important, influential company in this community, and so that's why we're here to talk to you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. And then you could say, it is such a privilege to be part of this team. As you can tell, I'm working with some really dynamic friends of mine, and that's what Kids Helping Kids is all about. So, you know, it's really great for us to be able to share this with you. And then you could say, you know, so there's different ways of saying exactly that, but yes, you're right. Do it in different ways. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I don't know if this is necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but I did notice that Nick's was like kind of almost twice as long as everyone else's. And I know this is like really just in the spot, but is that like a good thing? Like, should it be balanced? Or
You know, it doesn't have to be balanced. I noticed the same thing. I'm sure we all did. Yeah, that Nick had a lot. He had a lot to cover. He had a lot to cover, and I actually would have liked some of that information to come earlier in the presentation.
Number two, I had.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know what Kids Helping Kids was and what Kids Helping Kids did until Nick got there. You know, you were talking about this event and closing down State Street and this, you know, run-a-thon and all of that, but we didn't know what context that was. So you have to really make sure right from the beginning or towards the beginning, you're saying, you know, let us explain to you what Kids Helping Kids is and some of the great things that we accomplish. And then we would like to talk to you about how you can help us do that this year. So we talk about this a lot in our presentations. It's, and you know what, I talked about it a lot last year. I didn't talk about it this year, so this is important to keep in mind. You always want to give, and this is your role too, you always want to give your listeners a roadmap of what they're going to hear.
Okay.
You want to tell them, A to Z, what's going on right here. So we're Kids Helping Kids, and so I just want to, I want to share with you what we're going to talk about today. First, you know, we're going to do this. We're going to then tell you about what we accomplish at Kids Helping Kids, Then we're going to talk about our really exciting event that we're putting together in January that allows us to do that, and our financial goals. And then lastly, we're going to talk to you about how we hope you will help us. If you do that, A, B, C, D, these are the 4 things I'm going to talk to you about, then you are just, then there's no surprises, and you not only, let's say they get really nervous when they walk in. You just reminded them, hey everybody, that's what you're going to talk about. Yeah. But on top of that, you've told us, okay, 1, we're going to tell you what we're all about. 2, we're going to tell you how important we are and how we change people's lives. And we are going to ask you for money. Like that, so get ready. You know, that's coming up. We're not going to pull the rug under your feet. That is going to happen. And that's the guy that's going to do it over there. So here it is. Yeah. So if you roadmap it. Remember this, not even for fundraising solicitations, but remember this for, remember this for even when you're doing public speaking, when you're doing speeches, when you're the valedictorian and you're giving a valedictorian speech. You know, let people know what you're going to talk about. That's a really great way to engage people so they know where they're going the whole way through.
Yeah.
So I would have switched it up just a little bit.
Now, as far as splitting some of the things that I said earlier, could it be something like how we take what we did in the past and have either number 1 or number 2 explain that? But I kind of like that that I could say what